Well, I figured you'd get some good like sound bite.
I was trying to hit it as soon as I got in.
Yeah.
I'm like, don't die, don't die, don't die, don't die. All right.
Yeah, you won't.
And welcome back to another episode of Airdrie Inside. I am your host, Chris Glass. I am here with Brandon. Brandon, welcome to the show.
Thanks, man.
What are we sitting in?
We're sitting in my rendition of a 1966 Ferrari Dino 206 SP.
Let's go inside and talk about it. Now, you built that
Yes.
from scratch.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me about that process.
It seems simple to me, I guess, but it's hard. It's kind of hard to explain. I don't really use plans or anything. I kind of work from photos.
Okay.
And so that kind of makes it really hard to explain. But yeah, essentially just bought tubing, like structural DOM tubing,
Right.
for the chassis, and the body's all carbon fiber. I made the body. I made the molds to create the carbon body. I carved the buck in order to create the molds. I made it a Nissan engine with a Audi gearbox and all the things in between. Yeah, I kind of just made it all work.
Okay, so let's back up. Now that we have the car out of the way, because that was fascinating. You took me for about a 2-hour drive down highway, actually about a 5-minute loop around the parking lot out here. But tell me a little bit about yourself. When did you move to Airdrie? What got you into this?
So my wife and I moved here in 2009. We built a house, and before that, I grew up in Calgary. And yeah, my dad had a little single-car garage growing up. He was a bricklayer, and so with his own business, at the end of the year, you've got write-offs that you need to make. Otherwise, you just pay it in taxes and stuff.
Of course.
So we would go to the tool show or to the tool store, and he'd say, "Okay, this year we have this much we need to spend. Otherwise, it just goes to taxes. What do you guys want?" So between mostly my one brother and I, we would kind of decide. This year we want a little bit better of a table saw, or this year we want a welder, or this year we want a nicer bandsaw, or things like that. And so over time, we just kind of built up this little one-car garage with just everything you could ever imagine that would fit in it. And that's where I spent my entire childhood.
So did it start with go-karts, or you must have made some incredible things in this garage?
Yeah, it actually started with building toy guns.
Okay.
Just, I don't know, teen boys or young boys,
course.
I guess, you know.
Right.
And little car models and things like that. A lot of woodwork. Most of the tools that we had were woodworking tools. And so I taught myself how to use the table saw, and taught myself how to use the bandsaw, and taught myself how to use the wood lathe. So my dad would he would buy these tools, and he would bring them home, and you know, he had a general understanding of them, but he was working, right? So he would buy these tools, bring them home, set them up with us, kind of teach us a little bit of the basics that he kind of knew, and then be like, all right, well, figure this out. And once you figured it out, show me how to do it better.
So that really got your love of building things and creating things going there.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's funny. We have our fair share of artists on the show when it's people who could sing, or people who could play the guitar, or people who can act. This is no different. This is an art form. It's just a different type of art form, I think.
Yeah, I would say so.
So when did it cross over to cars?
So when I was 15 or 16, of course, doing woodwork stuff, I always wanted better wood to work with. Right. So we had the tools and things, but you know, we would just use scraps of junk that would come home from construction sites. And then one day my dad did a job at a cabinet shop, and in the back they had just a big scrap pile of stuff, and had walnut and cherry and all sorts of crazy.
Just a gold mine.
Oh, gold mine of things I'd never even heard of. And so he brings home this big box of all these cutoffs of solid woods, and it blew my mind. I was like, oh my gosh, where did you get these? And so he kind of explained, and he said, why don't you bring one of your models that I had built? Because I would build these pretty intricate little hot rods and stuff out of veneers and all sorts of things I could get my hands on. And so he's like, why don't you bring, you know, a jewelry box or a model or whatever, and we'll go there and see if they'll give us more wood if you show them this stuff. So we went there. And I met the owner and met the floor supervisor and stuff and showed them my stuff. And we got a tour of the shop, and then he offered me a job.
Oh, wow. On the spot.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. So I eventually did an apprenticeship there through high school. And so I got into cars and metalwork and stuff because I would go to the garage literally every day, like before school, after school, into the nighttime. Like I would skip eating dinner. My mom would call me in for bedtime, and I hated that. And so I would spend all my time out there. But then once I started there as a job, that very first day, I went to work, did my thing, learned a whole bunch of stuff right away, even on my first day. Came home, went back out to the workshop like I normally did, stood there with no interest in wood whatsoever.
Oh, no.
For half an hour, shut the lights off, and went back inside. And
wow.
And it kind of just killed that for me. So I had to get into something else. And so I got into fixing the crappy old go-kart that we had, and then building my own go-kart and little 5 and 6 horse motors and things like that. And it just kind of snowballed from there.
Now, at your high school, did you have a shop?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the high school had a wood shop. They did have a mechanic shop. I never took mechanics. I just took wood shop.
Okay, so didn't take mechanics, and now you're building cars like that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, and so, and then, one of the things I'm always kind of fascinated with is how people follow a passion and how people follow a dream, even when the pathway isn't linear, right? Like you don't necessarily see a pathway to success and riches and everything you need, but it's still your dream and it's still your passion and you still chase it. So, what ignites that for you?
I don't know. I like to learn. So if you just jump in and say, I want to be here, this is where I want to be, you're 90% of the time you're going to fail.
Right.
You have to start kind of slow and with small things. And I think I kind of intuitively knew that somehow. And so it was nice to start with go-karts and kind of start with what I had access to. But having that drive, I guess, to learn and understand how things work and why they work the way they work, and then just figure it out on my own.
Right.
That I really enjoy. I don't think I would have the same interest to go to school to do this, to have someone else show me and teach me. I want to see it. I want to learn it. I want to understand it myself. And oftentimes that's through failure.
I was going to say that must be a very iterative process where there's a lot of failure before the success happens.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So tell me how you keep that kind of that lifelong learning going, right? Because for me, I get very frustrated with failure. I don't enjoy it very much. It doesn't deter me. I keep persevering, but it's frustrating. So
yeah.
how do you work through that?
Well, don't get me wrong. There's definitely some dents there's dents in my dad's garage door, and there's dents in my garage door from parts that I've thrown across the garage. That still happens from time to time. But just, I guess, accepting that things are going to fail, right? And that's just part of it. And so it keeps that passion alive, knowing that if I keep trying, I will get it.
Yeah, I have a quote that I really like. In the history of everything that works, there was a time when it didn't, and that's my kind of passion on failure there.
Yeah.
So, talk to me about some of your most favorite projects. What's projects that you've worked on that really stand out for you?
Oh man.
Besides that beautiful machine we just drove in on.
Yeah, kind of all of the projects in their own way. Like everything, all the way from go-karts to the crazy cars to stuff I have in my head. I don't know. It's so when I first built a first car, because I built go-karts and things, and I had built turbo engines and a few things like that.
Okay.
But when I built my first car, it was a rat rod, which is a really good place to start because...
Sorry, I'm new to the car biz. What's a rat rod?
Okay, a rat rod is it's a hot rod on the cheap.
Okay.
So no fancy paint, a lot of rust, a lot of just original patina. Some people take them a little too far, in my opinion, where they become art cars, where you're kind of just welding junk to them. I always try to keep mine a little more pure and purposeful, but kind of Mad Max-ish, A rat rod would be very Mad Max-ish.
Very, okay.
Yeah.
That gives me a good, the Mad Max reference helps.
Yeah. Yeah, so the first car I built from scratch was a rat rod and very Mad Max. It had a big diesel, like Cummins diesel in it, twin turbos.
Awesome.
And that car got a little out of control. It started as a car that was kind of my first car, and I'm going to go mild on it, overbuild it a little bit, but keep the power mild, maybe around 300 horse, which is really mild for a Cummins.
Right.
And by the time it was done, it was like 855 horsepower and 1,504 torque at the wheels or
and
something
you could hear
like
it
that.
coming a mile away.
Oh, the thing was an absolute demon. It was
That's
insane.
lovely.
I had to sell it because I have kids, and that thing was going to take my life for sure.
So, okay. And then where did that progress to? What was next?
So I built that, and it was big and heavy and had a ton of power. And then I built my brother a little roadster. I wanted another project. And so I went to my brother and said, I want a project. If you want a roadster or something like that, I'll build you a roadster. You just pay for all the parts and I'll build it. And so we kind of worked on that together. And so I built this little roadster with a small, I think it was like a Olds 350.
Right.
Rocket 350. So, like I'm sure it was like 160 horsepower, but it was a cool car, and it was a lot lighter than my diesel car and a lot less power, but it was a lot more fun to drive.
Yeah.
And I kind of realized, this huge power thing, like I am not interested in that at all. You're constantly breaking stuff, and you're constantly fixing things and working on stuff, and it constantly wants to go sideways on you on the highway at like 160. And so I realized that...
Which can be problematic.
It can be.
Yes.
Very. And so I realized lighter with less power is way better. The Europeans have something going there.
All right.
And so the next car I built was a little 1929 Speedster. And so I got my hands on a 1929 Ford chassis.
Oh, wow.
And got my hands on a Wankel rotary, like a Mazda RX-7 rotary. And stuck that in this little 1929 chassis and kind of built a fiberglass and burlap body for it. And it was bare bones, like the barest bones you could ever imagine in any car ever. And it was like 155 horsepower. It was the best car, even to this day. Of all the stuff I've done, that was the greatest car.
That's the one that you still think about. Eh?
Oh man, that car was so perfect in every single way. It was light. It was quick enough. It wasn't going to kill you. You could feel every single corner and movement in it, and you could slide it on any on-ramp or off-ramp. It was amazing. The car was perfect. And I kind of realized that that's where it's at. I like that high revving, lower power, lightweight. And so I kind of realized, like, well, that's what the Europeans have been doing forever.
Right.
So when I sold my diesel car, I wanted to get into something else. Because I had done multiple rat rods, and everything in that world had kind of been done. I figured, like that 1920s, 1930s, 1940s technology. I mean, it had all kind of been done. There's only so many things you can play on it with.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to know what it would feel like to drive an old vintage Formula One, like a Grand Prix car from the 60s.
That's fantastic. And that's the next project.
Yeah. So I sold the diesel car, and I took that money and put it into starting to build a 1961 Ferrari 156 shark nose.
Beautiful.
And that car was cool because that car was way beyond me, and I didn't actually realize this at the time, which actually was good. It forced me to learn, and that's what I wanted. I wanted something that was going to force me to learn things that I didn't know.
When you say it was way beyond you, in what way?
Just
technically, or
well, I had never built a body before.
Yeah.
Right. I'd never worked with carbon fiber. Never worked with fiberglass. I'd never made molds before. I'd never carved a buck to make molds from. I'd never done a tube chassis. All sorts of stuff. I mean, it was a whole new world. I didn't know as much intricacies of suspension geometry as I would need to know for a car like that. And so almost everything about it forced me to learn. I learned to TIG weld on that car. And that's kind of what I wanted. I wanted something that would force me to learn things that I couldn't really learn any other way without pushing myself. So I sold the diesel car and then started building that.
That's fantastic. So all of this self-taught, one would have to ask, how smart are you?
I'm not that smart.
When you talk about suspension geometry and learning this stuff from scratch, that sounds pretty smart to me.
Yeah, but it's not. It's something that I have interest in it.
Right.
I have interest in it. Right. So if somebody has interest in that kind of thing, I mean, you'll dive into it, and it's not work. It's exciting. It's interesting, and and it just for some reason it absorbs.
Yeah, when you're working on something you're passionate about, there's never really hard work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. So, is this like an industry? Is this something that you sustain yourself doing?
It is now. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
tell me a little bit about that.
Well, so I built the Shark Nose and eventually sold that. It went to Miami, and then I built my little 206. And then when I had finished my 206, I posted some pictures on the internet. The Shark Nose was in Road and Track magazine, got a bit of media.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. And again, that's all just by luck. That's all by chance. I mean,
Right.
Like I take no credit for any of that. The internet's an interesting place. So after I had finished my 206, I posted some pictures online and just showing that it was done and this and that. And I had a guy call me and said that he was in the States and he's got this car that he wants to do, a dream car of his. And he had some parts and he had no real way of going about it, or, he was in a position where has the dream and he has some parts, but doesn't have the time or the hands to do it, and doesn't know where to go to make that a reality. So he asked if I had space, considering I'd finished the 206, and if I wanted to do it. And so I at first we were just talking about building a carbon body for it. And now this is a 330 P4, a Ferrari 330 P4,
Wow.
which is anybody who knows cars, like, it's like literally the most beautiful car. Like it's arguably the most beautiful car ever made.
You had me at Ferrari.
Yeah. And so, but it's a really complicated body, like really complicated.
Okay.
Even by Ferrari standards, it is a crazy complicated body. And so he approached me about building a body for it. And I thought, okay, I could do like evenings and weekends and kind of hobby it or whatever, and I think it would probably cost about this much. And so we kind of talked about a budget and things, and his budget would have worked. And then I was talking to my wife about it, and she's like, oh, like, that's a cool opportunity. Like, why not? And then he had come to me about a week later, and the guy that he was planning to have do his chassis in the States, I guess he was kind of an older guy, and he had hurt his back or something like that. And,
right.
And so he called me. He's like, my chassis guy's out. He's just not interested. He can't do it. He's old, he's kind of done. Is there any chance you'd do the chassis? And initially I was like, oh my gosh, man, like, I don't know, like.
Yeah, this is turning into more than just a hobby.
Yeah, and again, for a P4, like this is like a pinnacle car. And so I was talking to my wife about it, and she's like, so do it.
Oh,
like,
cool.
You love building chassis, which I do. Chassis are kind of my favorite part. She's like, you love building chassis. Quit your job and start building race cars. And so I did.
We don't deserve our wives, do we?
Right? She's amazing.
The things my wife has agreed to, and to hear that your wife says, quit your job and build race cars. Wow, that's got to be in the wedding vows for sure.
She's so amazing that I actually wasn't that surprised by the comment, but like the support, like she's always been super supportive, and so have my kids, in the fact that they know I'm in the garage.
Yeah.
Like that's where I am till midnight all the time. And, after work or, after bedtime, I'm just in the garage. That's where I'll be. And I've never really been tied down to some ladies out there, they need you to be there to
Right.
hold their hand.
Yeah,
Or
9 to 5.
to sit on the couch and watch their show with them. She's very much not that. If I come inside and I'm sitting on the couch, she's kind of looking at me like, this is my time.
What are you doing?
Go out, go to the garage.
Right. Okay. So the question, the moment you said that you had a client in the States, let's call him a client now, so because it's more than just a hobby now, you've quit your job, now you're building race cars. He's in the States. Where was he located?
He was in Wisconsin.
Okay, so this is a really important question. Did you get to drive the car to him?
Well, so no, because so what I did, because initially, again, this was kind of a test for me, right?
Right.
And I mean, he doesn't know me from anybody. He's seen some pictures online. I mean, he was putting a lot of trust in me.
Absolutely.
To make this a reality, right? And so I told him initially, I said, I don't know if this will go anywhere. I've got a good, stable job. Let's do an experiment. I will give you 1 year of my time. And I said, in that 1 year, I think I can bring that car to this state. And so I brought that car to about 80%. So I never did the fuel system for it, and I never did the wiring. And so I sent the car back to him, which was fine because he had a mechanic shop and some guys who wanted to rebuild the Ferrari engine, and he's right near a racetrack, so there's lots of places that could do a really good fuel system and ECU and wiring and stuff. So I said, I'll do all of the hard stuff that you can't really have done anywhere else, and then I'll send the car back at about 80 or 85%, and you can take it from there. So I never got to drive the car, but when he is finished with it, I'm gonna fly out. He'll fly me out, and we'll go drive the car. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's really, really cool.
Yeah.
So, how many cars do you work on at a time? Just one at a time?
Just one.
So you get one client, you agree on a price, and off to the races.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
And that's self-sustaining. That's amazing.
Yeah. So far, I mean, fingers crossed. I mean,
so, one of the things we talked about before we got on the show was you come on a lot of podcasts talking about cars, but you wanted to talk about something else other than just cars. And I think I kind of know where you want to go with this because this is such a non-traditional path to happiness in a lot of ways, right? A lot of people try to find jobs that fit them or they think, I'll work a job and the money will make things better. You found this way to make money doing your passion.
Yeah.
So how does somebody land on that?
Luck and sheer blessings, I guess.
Because that's a huge risk, right? You said you had a stable job.
Yeah.
And now you leave a stable job to, by any definition, do something insane. If you went and told somebody, hey, I quit my job to build race cars, and it was me talking, they'd look at me like I was...
Oh, yeah. If you went to your wife, to the average wife, and said, I think I'm going to quit my job and be an artist.
Right.
Or I'm going to quit my job and be in a band.
Yes.
That does not go over well. I got kids to feed. I got a mortgage to pay, right?
And then somehow you ended up doing exactly that.
Yeah.
So what advice do you have to people following non-traditional paths?
Well, I get asked a lot actually online. I have a lot of younger people ask me, like how do you get into this? And not just as a job, but like how do you get into cars?
Yeah.
Right. I got to look it up on my phone, sort of, because
no worries.
I actually reply to this a lot, so I had to make almost like a form letter. So when people ask me this, but I would say first have confidence.
Okay.
One of the things that I have that I think is rare, and I don't know. Again, I don't know why I have this. Maybe it's just a God-given blessing. I don't know, but is that I don't seem to have a fear of things. Which again, maybe that's stupidity. There's a fine line between confidence and stupidity.
Right. Usually it's the outcome.
Yeah, that's the deciding factor.
End up in jail,
right?
stupidity. End up on TV, confidence.
Yeah. So, I don't typically have fear of stuff. Like, I generally know I can make something work. And so that's a big factor. Lots of people don't do the things that they want to do straight because of fear.
Yeah.
They're just afraid that they're not going to make it, or they see, they live an Instagram mentality where they look at all these people whose lives look perfect and they've accomplished this, and they decide, well, I'll never get there. Well, you can totally get there. You can totally learn these things. I've learned these things. It just comes down to not giving up or not having fear.
Right.
So,
or not letting the fear hold you back.
Yes. Yeah. That's what I mean.
I think that's key too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in that too, I mean, people if somebody were to say, I want to build a shark nose, if somebody who said, I want to build a 330 P4, like I said, that's a really complicated car, right? From a complicated and expensive car to build.
Right.
That is probably not the car to start with.
Right.
If you want to build yourself a car,
you build a rat rod.
Right. Yeah.
See, I'm paying attention.
See,
here.
there you go. Or you start even smaller, right? If you're young, buy an old go-kart.
Yeah.
Or start with something small. Start with whatever you can. I love the 1932 Ford because in the hot rod world, the 32 Ford was like the Honda Civic. Like in my era, it's the Honda Civic. It is. Every single person's family had a Model A Ford. Every family. And so when these kids got back from war, that was just an old car. So they hand the kids the old car, And that's what they have access to, so they turn it into a hot rod, and that became their project. It's the same thing in high school. Your mom had a Civic, they got a new car.
Pimp out your Civic.
Yeah, they gave you the Civic. The Civic is the 32 Ford of our day. And kids start with what they have, which is really smart.
Yes.
So start with what you have. If you don't have anything, if you don't have space, start with what you can do. I mean, you can build a motorcycle in a kitchen. if you had to, right?
Right.
So start small, I guess. Start small, and if you don't know anything about anything, well, go get a pocket bike. Go get a go-kart for a couple $100 and start taking it apart and repairing stuff and figuring out how it works like that.
So after starting small, starting simple, picking something that's within your wheelhouse, what's next?
I would say build one thing at a time. Everybody has heard of that story of the old man or met that old man who's got like an entire field full of cars.
Yes.
And he's never finished a single one, but he won't sell any because I'm going to finish that someday. That guy is 100% that guy who got into more than one project at a time and never finished any of them.
Right.
So my thinking is always do one thing at a time. If you have the space and the money and the time, great. Okay, sure. If you think you can handle it and you can balance the rest of your life around that, sure. But for the average person, if you want to accomplish a goal, you're wise to start one thing at a time.
Right.
To constantly be looking for the next project car on Marketplace. That guy has 3 or 4 unfinished projects in the driveway.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay, and then okay, so start small and then build one thing at a time. Don't take on too much. What's next?
I would say be careful what you pour your money into.
Okay.
So this one, when I built, and this one kind of has 2 parts to it. So, or it can kind of go either way. So my very first car that I bought with my own money was a 1989 Caravan, Dodge Caravan with a 2.5 turbo. and those came stock in these vans.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. Like honestly, like turning that into a sleeper with like 300 horsepower and a great big diesel turbo and taking that downtown and racing light to light or at the drag track at the time. Like nothing was better than blowing the doors off Corvettes in an 89 Caravan.
Yeah, no doubt.
It was awesome. But there came a time, and I learned a lot. I learned a lot about blowing up engines. I learned a lot about boost and turbos and stuff. But it came to a point where it had kind of taught me everything I could know with that platform. And I kind of realized at the end of the day, it's a van. It's an 89 Caravan. It has no value.
Yeah.
And so there's a fine line between using it as a teaching tool, or maybe it's something you love, right? Maybe it's your baby and it's your dream car, then great, keep it forever.
Right.
But if it's run its course, or if it has no value outside of education, don't pour your money into it. There needs to be a point where you stop, and you need to think, okay, like, and this is where I sold a Dodge Omni. Same thing. That car again was fun. I learned some things with it, but it got to a point where I was like, at the end of the day, it's a Dodge Omni, and it's kind of worthless. And so if I want to keep progressing, I need to sell this and put my money into something else.
Right.
And then I sold that and started putting money into building a rat rod. So I would say be careful where you put your money. You can end up investing $50 at a time over 10 years, might end up working out to like 80 grand, and you have a Civic.
Yeah.
You get 80 grand into a Civic. You could have put that same money aside and bought yourself a used Porsche.
Right.
In that same time, right? So be careful where you put your money.
So it must be difficult to know what you talked about, stopping throwing money into something. So, being careful what you spend your money on. When do you let go of a car? When is it time to say goodbye?
If you're